This week in the field, doing street photography in an unobtrusive kind of way. Hey everyone, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to In the Field. Thanks for joining me today. If this is your first time checking out my videos, thanks for giving me a shot. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if there's a little subscribe button in the lower right corner you can hit. And if you're on Facebook, follow my page. You won't miss a video. There's new stuff coming out every week. So today I'm talking about street photography, and that is not my thing, right? That is, if you followed any of my work, that's not something I normally do. But when I was on holiday, I was in Kyoto for a bit. I want to walk around the city. I want to take a look at things. And there was a particular alleyway of a bunch of different restaurants that I decided I wanted to go photograph one evening. So let me show you the footage. There's a small amount here, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then I'll come back and talk about at least how I approach street photography on the rare occasions that I do it. Doing a little bit of a walkabout in Kyoto, my last night here. And I'm kind of looking down the river at, I believe the alley is Pontocho Alley, where you see these restaurants right along the river right here. It's going to get lit up pretty nicely, although the sky itself not doing too much. I think I'm going to head around the bridge, get back over the other side there, and head down the alleyway. This is looking pretty promising. I'll walk up and down the alley here, find out what type of subject can use as foreground, or these lanterns perhaps. And then set up when the sky starts to get a little bit darker. Let's get going. I'm going to start at this end of the alley, shooting down kind of this row of restaurants, and use this lantern here as my main foreground subject. Right now I'm set up at f/16. I'm getting about a second and a half. I have the filter holder on the front, and that is so I can add in probably a 4-stop and maybe bump the ISO up to 200, so I can get a few seconds drag, and just any people walking through will blur, and they'll just make a nice street scene, some good motion. And if anybody stops to look at a menu, I'll just fire off another sequence. So as you saw there, the footage was brief. Right? I think I spent maybe 90 seconds capturing some of the backdrop there of what am I doing, how I have the camera set up. And then when I moved into the final position I wanted to get, the different framing I wanted for the photo that I ultimately did select from this shoot, it was 90 seconds again. I was in, set up, got my handful of shots, and was out of there. It might have even been 60 seconds. It was very, very tight. I thought about what I wanted to do, set up, got the shots, and moved out of the way. And I think that's my tip of the week, is to, at least for me, when I do anything street related, I try to be as unobtrusive as possible, low impact. People are out there, they're enjoying their day, and I think photographers can be part of that too, so long as we're not getting in other people's way. And I'm always shooting about the street or the city or the architecture, and people are a context. I'm not doing people's candid portraits and so forth. So maybe that helps reduce the likelihood of some confrontation. But all things being equal, I'd like to have none of that. Whatever the laws are aside, people are unpredictable sometimes. So being low impact and small and just moving through a scene quickly, I think that's my approach to street. I would like to hear from others. If you are doing more street photography, that's something you do as part of your normal photography, what other kinds of advice or techniques do you use to get the kind of shots that you're after, but at the same time, minimize the possibility of confrontation, right? I don't want to get into a big debate about what the law says versus what it doesn't say. Different countries have their own laws of, what you are and are not legally allowed to photograph. But there is the personal side of things, right? There are, people, and people may or may not know the law, and they may or may not take exception to what you're doing. So if you've got tricks or, ways that you've been able to do types of street photography without inciting a confrontation, I'd like to hear about that, because it would certainly help me out for sure. I think it might help a bunch of other folks out too. So if you got ideas about that, share them in the comments below. And that's going to do it for this week's In the Field. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you come back later in the week. I will show you the photo that I did select from this shoot and do a little bit of the post-processing talk about it. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I like that I did get some ghosting of people in there, as I talked about in the footage. So hope you'll come back for that. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport, and happy shooting. This week in the field, not paying attention to your calendar appointments. I'll be back.